Radio, grade 12's engineering, graphic and design students. We're looking at your practical assessment task for EGD, and I have chosen with my learners to do the civil design project for this year. And I'm going to do a deep dive here on your scenario and what specifically is required in this. And the reason I'm doing that is a lot of times learners don't listen when teachers talk through this assessment task, and you end up not fully understanding what is required. So we're just going to take it slow, talk you through, and you're welcome to make some notes. The Afrikaans is exactly the same structured. So if you're Afrikaans learner, take out your assessment task that was given to you and keep up as we talk this through. Okay, first of all, there's a scenario. And in this one, it states a small portion of a farm next to District Road 45, plot 17, has been rezoned to residential. As the farm is near to many tourist attractions and a town with major new industrial developments, the client who purchased the portion of the farm intends to build two similar self-catering houses on the property. Okay, so there's already a good clue. Okay, what needs to be done here? The houses should be designed for families, another clue, that are not only just visiting the area but also families that intend staying there for an extended period. Again, very good information here for you. Of time while they set up permanent residence in town. There are two old decommissioned silos, cylindrical structures that were used to store grain on the property. Again, this is what's given to you, right? This is what you're going to have to work with, these two old decommissioned silos. These silos are made of 200mm thick brick walls and are 7 meters high with an outer diameter. Again, this is what's given to you. More details for you. The client has requested that the silos be incorporated into the design of the houses. Very important line. You need to use these silos in your design. To aesthetically fit in with the design of the houses, the height of the silos should be reduced to a height of no less than 4 meters. Again, important information for you. Window and door openings may be cut into the walls of the silos. So as I'm highlighting these are all specifications, right? But they can also be constraints in the same way, because you are constrained by the height. Okay, it cannot be less than 4 meters. So just make sure as you read through this, you take note of the things that's said, that's stated, that's facts that you have to incorporate. As the client wants the two houses to be mirror images of each other, again, very important, they're going to be exactly the same. You have been commissioned to provide a proposed design brief solution for only one of the houses according to the given specifications. Okay, let's look. The main entrance of both houses must face north. Specification. Each house must consist of 3 bedrooms. Specification. Each house must consist of 2 bathrooms. Again, a specification. And a large area for an open plan kitchen. Specification. And a lounge. Specification. The silo may only be accessed from this lounge and must be used. Again, a specification. Only access from the lounge. As an entertainment area. And contain a built-in fire pit. You can see how the specifications just keep piling up in this task. A covered and raised wooden veranda must run. There we go. The full length of the north-facing house. Again, specification on specification for you to use along one of the sides. The lounge and main bedroom must have sliding doors that open onto a veranda. Specification, specification. There must be built-in cupboards in each of the bedrooms. You know it, a specification. A carport for 2 cars must be attached to the house. The house and silo must have an appropriate design roof with corrugated iron roof finishes. The total area of the house, including, may not exceed 180 square meters. So you can see it's just piling on the specifications. And if you, in the end, your concepts, your designs, your working plans, they need to all incorporate all of these specifications. That's the reason for the specification. If you don't actually use that which is specified and answer the requirements of your client, you're not going to be a very well paid architect one day. So make sure the specifications, the purpose of that is for you to understand what is the requirements from the client, so that when you do the designs you get it right. And the constraints, that's the things that you have, that limits you, that restricts you, the things that you're not able to make use of. Okay, what's constraining you in this project? We look at that. The kitchen must have built-in cupboards and sufficient work surfaces for appliances and the preparation of food. There must be space for a gas stove and a fridge. Provision must also be made for surface area where 6 or more people can sit down. The one bathroom must be an ensuite to the main bedroom, and the other must service the 2 smaller bedrooms. Both bathrooms must consist of a shower, wash basin, toilet, and bath. People, if your bathrooms miss only a wash basin, toilet, and a bath and no shower, you're not getting your marks. Okay? Both bathrooms must have shower, wash basin, toilet, and bath. All the rooms and areas must have sufficient electrical lighting, switch socket outlets. Clean water will be supplied to the site via the main municipal feeder, and the wastewater from the 2 houses will be discharged into the main sewer line that runs under the district road. The client also requested that a detailed layout of the entertainment area, which shows all fixtures and furniture, must be included on the floor plan of the design solution. I bless you. This is it. This is your civil PAT task for engineering, graphic, and design. Let's move on. All right. Then they've taken the time to prepare for you a site plan. Now, this is a very important part of the drawing, because what do we have here? We have your sizes that you are able to use. Okay, see if I can highlight that. Doesn't look like it's that easy to highlight. Maybe this one. No, it's a picture. Okay, but you can see here, here's the 2 silos. You can see the spacing in between them. This is going to be very important for you to have a full understanding of. Hallo my liefste. Ja, ek vra gou, is hulle nie daar nie? Jy het nie hulle gesien nie. Okay, ek vra gou. Okay, bye. Okay, so let's dive a bit deeper here. You can see here the district road, the municipal sewer connection, the depth of that 3.2 meters. You have your building lines that you're familiar with now at this stage. You've got the different spacings here. So you can see you've got about 45 meters between the 2 silos, center to center. The plot number, you've got your access road, you've got your corner heights. So all of this you need to take in consideration. Okay, remember they need to be mirror images of each other. Okay, and your north arrow, of course, that's going to be important. So when we get to drawing your site plan, make sure you draw each and every detail specified on this site plan on your actual site plan. Okay, let's continue. All right. The presentation requirements, analysis, the given scenario, and analyze, the given scenario and formulate the design brief in 2 paragraphs. So they're going to be looking for 2 paragraphs in your design brief. The first paragraph is important. It must be in your own words. That's going to count marks. It must include a brief background. Okay, that's what you started right in the beginning, the story almost, the brief background to the project, as well as a detailed and comprehensive description of what has to be designed. This needs to be a paragraph. All of this, in your own words, you have to give a background and you need to give a detailed and comprehensive description of what has to be done. It's only 1 paragraph. Don't go more than 1 paragraph. We're looking at no more than 100 words here. What is a detailed, comprehensive description? Okay, then the second paragraph. Again, I want to see that second paragraph, and I'm going to show you the numbering in a moment. Again, in your own words, and you have to give a clear overview of your role in the project. So what is your role? You need to describe that. You're going to say, I'm going to start off with listing the specifications and the constraints. I'm going to work according to a pace setter or a management plan. I'm going to then do research on this and this and this. And then I'm going to do the concept designs. I'm going to provide then a working drawing, elevation, etc. So you need to tell us what are you going to do, what's your role, as well as the design process that you are going to follow to arrive at the proposed solution. This is the second paragraph, again about 100 words, 120 words maybe. These 2 are counting marks, I bet you that. From the scenario and your teacher's management plan, Include the following part of the design brief. Okay, so once you've done this, now what's next? You need to identify and list a minimum of 20 specifications, and you're going to get to them quite quickly. You saw on top how many I've highlighted. You're going to get to 20 very quickly. Then minimum of 5 possible constraints. Okay, only 5. That's not a lot. That's things that's restricting you, that's constraining you, that you're not able to do, not able to use, not able to exceed, surface areas, etc. Okay, and the management plan which specifies target dates for the completion of each presentation requirement. Now your teacher should have given you a management plan, a sample with target dates, and it's most likely just going to be a zoomed out management plan, but you can really delve into this and nail this one. I'll show you how to do that in future. Okay, your research, you need to conduct research on. Again, don't waste time doing research on anything else. Use these things listed. Layouts and designs of open plan kitchens and lounge areas. That is what you need to research. The layout and designs of an open plan kitchen and lounge areas. For this now, with lockdown, internet's your friend. Maybe you have a friend or your parents know someone who's an architect or a contractor. I would really encourage you to phone them, and to ask a couple of questions over the phone. Take a selfie of you on the phone talking to the person. Maybe use Zoom if you can. Take a screenshot. Show that proof in your research in the end that you have actually talked to someone who knows about planning kitchens and lounge areas, and you've spoken, asked questions regarding layouts and designs. That's going to be helpful. Of course, you can Google a couple of ideas here, but we want physical proof. We want to see you with a selfie with that architect, or on a Zoom in this case. We want to see pictures of what you've researched. Don't give us paragraphs and paragraphs of writing. That's not going to be helpful. We want visually stimulated here. Then designs and construction detail of slightly raised wooden verandas with roofs. Okay, again here, if you just Google this, design and construction of raised wooden veranda, you're going to get lots of results. Okay, with roofs. Please make sure whenever you get research to us that it's in metric. Don't give us inches and all of that. It needs to be applicable to South African standards. Okay, layouts and designs of entertainment areas with built-in fire pits. Again here, either phone a friend or use Google. If you are able to visit a supplier, a lot of places like Builders Express, Buco, etc., they actually have pamphlets detailing this, of suppliers, etc. So that also can be used here in your research. The research must be relevant. That's going to be important and should therefore be primarily in the form of graphic material, pictures, or illustrations. That's exactly what I said. Okay, make sure you get us visually interested in your research. Okay, evidence of all the required research must be included in the PAT portfolio. Okay, so we want to see the evidence. We want to see that selfie of you phoning the architect, and we want that architect's details, of course, the name, telephone number, etc., for us to be able to verify. Even here, whatever sources you use, you're going to have to list that in your bibliography at the end of the day. Okay, but here I think the relevancy is going to be very important, and that's why I stick to these 3 things. Don't go and research about other stuff. It's a waste of time. Okay, the presentation of the research material should be aesthetically presented. So that means it needs to look good, all right? It needs to be of grade 12 standard. It cannot look like your younger sister or brother made this, all right? It's grade 12 standard and may not exceed 4 A4 or 2 A3 pages. Now, my learners, you guys, we're using 2 A3 pages. I do not want to see an A3 page, okay? No A3s, only no A4, sorry, only A3 pages and 2 per topic. So you're going to have a maximum here of 6 A3 pages. I would say a minimum of 3, at least 1 A3 per topic. There's 3 topics here, okay? At least each will have 1 A3, but a maximum of 2, okay? There must be clear evidence that the research has been used in your proposed design solution. Okay, that is going to be critical here. You're going to actually have to show us that the research that you used in your solutions. So it needs to be relevant. That's where the relevancy is checked. Is what you've designed in the end, does that reflect and feed from your research? You have to include a list of all references used bibliography. Then you need to prepare detailed freehand drawings of the layout, an example floor plan, 2 possible design solutions for one of the proposed new houses. Each freehand drawing must show the correct presentation of all the building features. And this they're referring to sons. They want to make sure that when you draw your toilet, when you draw your bath, your walls, when it's drawn freehand, it looks as if it is drawn correctly according to sons. Representing the correct representation of features. The permanent fixtures, the veranda, the carport, the roof lines, as well as the primary dimensions and labels, the calculation of the total area, which must be included. The silent veranda must be shown clearly in a table on the drawing sheet. I'm going to highlight all of this because each one of these are important and you need to make sure each one of your freehand drawings meet these requirements. Don't skip on that. Electrical fittings, wastewater dispersal systems are not required on the freehand. Grid graph paper must be used to generate the freehand drawings so that all features and fixtures are drawn to proportion. Evidence of the grid graph paper used must be included in the path portfolio. So I'm asking my learners to actually put this graph paper underneath just a normal A3 paper, and so that it just shows through and then draw, and then they can include this graph paper in the back of as proof that they've used it. But the important thing is here, they really want a neat freehand drawing. It's not a rough sketch, like a rough initial concept like some of you seen from architects. This is really a freehand drawing that's very much similar to your working drawing, but it's done freehand. All the drawings must comply with SANS guidelines. I've said that. These drawings must provide clear evidence that a high level of competency has been attained in freehand drawings. It's not your little sister or brother's drawing here. It's your grade 12 standard that they're looking for. Then you have to select the best solution, which demonstrates an in-depth understanding of the scenario within the context of the design brief, specifications, and constraints. Okay, so how do we select this best solution? Okay, what do you have to do? On a separate page, evaluate and compare the 2 freehand solutions by creating a table with a minimum of 6 descriptive criteria. Okay, I'm going to show you an example of this. You have to creating and applying a simple rating scale to score each solution against each criterion. Okay, justifying each score by describing the positive and or negative aspects of each solution against the criteria. Okay, so that we want to see that you've thought it through, right? You've evaluated, you've compared the 2 freehand solutions, and you're going to do that in a table, okay, with a minimum of 6. You can do more, but a minimum of 6. Complete the process by writing a comprehensive summary giving reasons for the selected freehand solution. So at the end of that page, you're going to write a paragraph again. And the summary must always include whether there were any late changes made to the selected freehand solution.
Okay, I have here a design brief, specification and constraint page made by one of my previous grade 12s. Now, this was handwritten and it's very clear and neatly done, so that would be acceptable, but we really want to encourage learners to use a computer when doing this. But for the sake of our explanation, here is the 2 paragraphs that was referred to initially, and again they are numbered accordingly. 1.1, 1.2, design brief. You could even give a heading here, for each one of the paragraphs. That would be awesome. Then under specifications, 1.3, general, and a list of specifications. And last year they had to do almost like a shopping mall, so there's general, bakery, we've got butchery, etc. But that's 20 specifications needed, and then you have your constraints. All right, at least 5. And then our learners also did a management plan, and here's an example of that. It really is your section in your that needs to be done, the design brief, proposed date, and the actual date. It helps you manage what needs to happen in term 2, term 3, etc. And this I would break down 1.1, one design brief, and then 1.1 primary problem, 1.2 secondary problem, 1.3 specifications, 1.4 constraints, etc. So I'll even manage this in bit more detail. I think that would be valuable for you. And then of course each page neatly bordered, neatly titled, and on each page you must have your name and the page number. Okay, I'm going to again page through here. There's different examples I want to show you. We're looking at the research, and again you can have lots more visual parts to yours, but please make sure you also explain the drawing, the pictures. Don't just put the drawing without referring to that drawing. Okay. This specific learner also decided to do this was a walk-in fridge. He did some hand drawings of one that he saw, pictures again with notes. I think that's all important. Okay. He also discussed for himself the different aspects of each fridge and their advantages. Shop fronts, again, lots of pictures, visual. That's going to be important. Okay, this is also research of another PAT done by a learner, and you can see this is much more what I'm expecting from my learners. Typed out, neatly laid out, it's visually pleasing. He's got the necessary images to explain his text, so it's not just text and a lot of reading. And then he actually did a site visit. I know it might be difficult to you guys, but there's a site visit, where he's taken pictures and he's learned from those pictures and that experience. This was the inside of his site visit. Again, this doesn't have to be colored pictures, of course, but again, clearly laid out for us his reception area that he visited and these notes that he made. Okay, very good. And then here's a picture of his interviews that he had, with the different suppliers. This was a supplier of septic tanks, local supplier of septic tanks. Here was a guy designing roofs. He asked him about the type of roof he had to design. So there's proof, there's factual evidence, and it's evidence that he used in his research. Okay. Bit more details on the roof trusses, hip roofs, etc. Okay, here's another example, research of different types of fridges with actual details that you can use. Remember, just a picture of a fridge isn't going to be helpful when having to know what the size is of that fridge so that you can do the placement correctly, what's the requirements for it to work, where does the plugs need to be, etc. Those are the things you're looking at in the research. Again, a lot of nice pictures for their roofs that they had to design, and relevant research again. So that's a better idea of how the research looks.
Okay, now that we've looked through the actual PAT document and we've looked at some research examples, I want to take you to your assessment criteria and checklist for 2020 and just explain to you this. This is a very important document and it needs to be part of your PAT. Okay, so let me explain this to you. This is your checklist for your civil PAT. When it's given, you can see here is your suggested mark allocation. Sometimes it's going to be a 2, sometimes it's going to be 1s. Let me explain that to you. So when you have a 1 mark descriptive level, like here, okay, you either can requirements are met or presented incorrectly when you get a 0, or if you do get a 1, requirements has been met and or presented correctly. So there's actually really just, you can either get it wrong or right. When there's a 2 mark level, you're going to get a 0 if the requirements are not met or less than 30% evidence of knowledge shown. So in other words, very poor. When you get a 1 out of 2, it's going to be when the requirement included and at least 30% plus evidence of knowledge shown. But when you've nailed that presentation, it's going to be 80% and above, and you get 2 marks. So let's take that into practicality. If we look at the design brief, you'll see here's the numbering. Okay. The first paragraph is going to have to be numbered 1.1. Okay, and that first paragraph must have background and comprehensive description of what to design. Oh, glory, sorry, I mess this one up. Okay, so if your first paragraph, the background and comprehensive description of what to design is included, you've included the first paragraph, you've given clear background and comprehensive description of what to design, you're going to get a 2 out of 2 for this. If you've not done a first paragraph, you haven't given any of this, you're going to get a 0. But let's say you've done some background and just a short description, it's not comprehensive, we're going to give you a 1. Okay, so you can actually grade yourself as you go on. 1.2 needs to be your second paragraph, and it needs to explain your role and the design process that you are going to follow. If you only maybe specify your role, but you don't explain the process you're going to follow, you're going to get 1. So this is very easy for you to actually see exactly what is required. Number 3, 1.3, that's what you must number it. It must say then specifications, a list of minimum of 20 specifications from the scenario. So if you do 20 and they're from the scenario, you're going to get 2 out of 2. If it's 10 and it's from the scenario, it's only met 30% or more and you're going to get a 1. Or if you miss it, it's a 0. Okay, so that's very easy for you to look through this. Possible constraints from the scenario 5, 2 out of 2. Then that management plan with target dates for all the presentation requirements, 2. So you can see that the design brief, you got a total of 10. Each one of those parts counts 2. Let's look at the research. Okay, relevant and usable. So that's 2 criteria that you have to look at. 2.1, layouts and design of open plan kitchens and lounge areas. If you've researched that sufficiently, you're going to get 2. Design and constraints, detail of slightly raised construction detail of slightly raised wooden veranda roofs. Okay, have you done the design and the construction detail? Yes. Remember, the construction detail here is going to be important. Of a slightly raised wooden veranda. You can't just have any veranda. It needs to be a slightly raised wooden veranda with roof. Okay, and the layout and design of entertainment areas with built-in fire pits. So you can see here, then, clear evidence that the research has been used in your proposed design solution. So what I do here, I want to suggest, and listen carefully, I actually want to suggest at the end of your research, you have a summary page, okay, where you summarize the research that was relevant and that you're going to use in your end solution. That is this, that's proof to us. Then we don't have to go and look for that you use the research in your solution. If you highlight this, this is important, highlight for us that you've used the research. Say, this research I've used, I'm going to use, and you list it. Maybe it's the placement of the kitchen counters. Maybe it's the construction of the wooden verandas. But just refer to us what you're going to use here. And then, of course, your bibliography too. So, look here, people. If you get each one of these a 2, we cannot not give you 10 out of 10. And I've had learners get 100% for PATS because they've meticulously followed each one of these criteria and nailed it. You're actually going to have to own marks, notes, comments. You have to actually add your own marks here so that when we mark it, we can compare that. Okay, we are going to wait for the freehand drawings. We'll look at that a bit later. But this is just the initial phase 1 of the PAT for EGD. Let's make sure this is done correctly. Thank you.